Hello and welcome back to Ekcel Academy's YouTube channel. We are here presenting the session number 10 on the current affairs weekly roundup. This session is done keeping in mind the CSEET aspirants. As all of you are aware, there is one part in your examination which will be on the current affairs. So it is very important for the CS aspirants to make sure that they keep themselves updating with respect to the current developments that are happening in the world. Our series focuses on economics, political developments that takes place, the business field and the changes that are taking place in the world. Let's start with the first news bit. Oil above $70 to force cut in oil fuel taxes. Now this is something which the whole world is talking about today. It's not just happening in India but across the world. If you take the Indian case as an example, the biggest problem that we are facing in India is both the central government as well as the state governments levy heavy tax on the petroleum products that we consume, especially the petrol and the diesel. Now we know that the OPEC countries along with Russia have decided to cut down on the supply of the crude oil, as a result of which the prices in the international markets are going up, and the result is seen in the Indian prices on the petrol and diesel as well. So government has got two options before it now. The first one is to provide subsidy. Second is to cut down on the tax. Sooner or later, we will definitely see one of these things being introduced by the government, because there is no other go, because the oil prices have touched $70 and we cannot allow the prices in the domestic markets to further go up. It will lead to inflation and other problems. Hence, it is right time for the government to take some serious measures and to bring down the petroleum prices. Right. Vedanta to hire 2,500 across functions. So Vedanta is one of the leading edutech companies in the country. Now we have heard about Byju's, we have heard about Topper and others, and Vedanta is also one among them. And they also provide services like others. They cover the K-12 segment really well. And this company has decided to recruit 2,500 across the functions. It means that it includes sales and marketing, teachers, production, everything. And this is a good news because India as of today requires more and more jobs to be created, and companies like Vedanta creating these many jobs is a good news that comes in. India at forefront in fighting COVID stands out in terms of vaccine policy, says Gita Gopinath. This name becomes important for us. Gita Gopinath is the chief economist of IMF. IMF stands for International Monetary Fund. And Gita Gopinath happens to be of Indian origin. She comes from a city called Mysore in the state of Karnataka. So this is a good endorsement that comes for all the hard work and the efforts that the Indian government has put in fighting COVID and distributing the vaccines. Global issues to be discussed at the first Quad summit. Now, what is this Quad about? See, we've always spoken about the regional blocks such as SAARC or ASEAN, or we have spoken about the the business blocks such as the BRICS. Now here is another club that has been formed by four countries. These four countries include India, then we have US, then we have Australia and Japan. So all these four countries have come together and they've formed something called the Quad. It's called the Quadrilateral Coalition. So what does it focus on? It focuses on improving the relationship, trade contacts between these countries, and their primary agenda is to make sure that they fight the Chinese aggression in all terms and make sure that world is free from the Chinese aggression. So this is the idea behind Quad, and all the four leaders coming from these countries have met and they have spoken, and this has really disturbed certain things in the Chinese political environment. This is something which we have to follow very closely in order to understand the functioning and the delivery of Quad. Need to channel more Indian savings into equities, says Uday Kotak. Uday Kotak is one of the leading persons when it comes to Kotak Mahindra Bank, and he is also the current president of Confederation of Indian Industries, which is called CII. And he is telling that more and more people should participate in the equities, that is in the stock market. We all know the top two stock markets in India are BSE and the NSE. And when more and more people participate in BSE, NSE, purchase shares, sell shares, and invest on IPOs and all that, it helps the Indian corporate to grow better, faster, and the Indian economy will expand. So that's the whole idea behind what Uday Kotak has told. India to buy first US armed drones to counter China, Pakistan. Now, drones are used for multiple purposes. In our common lives, we see drones being used for videography and photography and all that. Drones are also very effective in surveillance. So Indian Army was using drones to keep a vigil in the borders. Now they have gone one step ahead and they are buying armed drones which can be used to fight the Pakistanis and the Chinese in the borders. PWC India offers special bonus to all employees. PWC is one of the big four companies in the world. They are called the big fours. They are into accounting, auditing, financial management, taxation and other things. The big four companies are Deloitte, E&Y, PWC and KPMG. So these are the four big, they are called the big four companies. And PWC, which operates in India also, has offered special bonus to all its employees. This is a very, very good gesture that comes from one of the leading corporates of the world. This is something which is to be welcomed, and there is a lot of things to learn for a lot of corporates, because in the name of COVID, there has been job cuts, there has been salary cuts, there has been incentive cut and all that. And companies like PWC are setting high standards by giving special bonus to the employees. Apple starts assembly of iPhone 12 in India. Now, this is something which is fantastic. There was a time where we had to wait somewhere between 3 to 9 months to get the Apple products. After it being launched in US, we had to wait for these many months to get those products in the country. Now, Foxconn as well as Wistron, the component manufacturers of Apple, are manufacturing their components in India. Now, Apple has gone one step ahead, and most probably Foxconn will be assembling the components in India and iPhone 12 will be manufactured in the country. So this is a big news. Not only that, after this, exports will also start from the Indian base. So this is going to help the company definitely, and it is going to help the Indian economy as well, as it brings in a lot of business and creates a lot of jobs. LPG consumption rises 7.3% despite price rise. Now, there was a program which the government of India launched, and the first program was Give Up. Now, what was this Give Up all about? Give Up was all about telling people to give up their subsidies that was given to the on the LPG cylinders. This was the first program. This program was later followed up by another program called the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, the backward classes, economically backward classes, the tribes were all given free LPG connection. And the result is seen today. These people have accepted LPG as a part of their life, and they have stopped using firewood and they are using LPG, and results are here. There is 7.3% increase in the usage of LPG gases. So this is, of course, there is price rise, there are problems. We know that this is not under the control of anybody. This is related to the international markets. For a minute, we will keep that as constant and focus purely on the consumption part of it. Now, if you see the consumption part of it, we understand that people would have definitely stopped the usage of firewood. So this will reduce the inhaling of the smoke that comes out. This protects the health of the people on one side. On the other side, it is going to help the environment as well, because we are not disturbing the nature. So this Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana should be called a successful program. Right. Amazon infuses 225 crore rupees into payment units. Now, we all know that Paytm was a leader when it comes to this kind of payment money and all that. Then it was soon followed up by something called Tez. Then it became Google Pay. Then Phone Pay became one of the main players in this. Then Government of India introduced something called BIM app and UPI and all that. Now, Amazon entered the market and they are coming out with full force, and now they are infusing 225 crore rupees to be one of the front runners in this particular market of digital payments. So this is something which is fantastic. So digital payments should help the people for easy transaction. This will also reduce corruption, brings in transparency, and most importantly, the usage of the currency notes will reduce. You believe it or not, Government of India spends some 500 crore rupees or something to print the notes on a yearly basis. So that's the amount of money that is being spent to print the notes. So when digital transaction increases, forget about everything, at least the Government of India will be in a position to cut down on the printing cost, and that money can be used for some developmental activities. So we must be happy that these changes are happening in the country. Tata proposes to acquire majority stake in Big Basket. So this was a news which was there in the market for almost 3 weeks now. We were told that Tata is investing around 9,500 crores or 950 crores if I'm correct in Big Basket. Big Basket is the Alibaba promoted company, and now Tata is entering the e-grocery markets. We have some big players like Reliance and others who are already there in the market. So now Tata has also entered. Right. Tesla Tata Power talk EV charges. Now we know that Tesla is disturbing the equilibrium of the automobile industry. They are one of the front runners when it comes to manufacturing the electrical cars across the world. They have entered India as well. They have the research and development unit in Bangalore, and they'll be setting up their manufacturing units in different parts of the country, hopefully, and they'll be rolling out cars. Now, the biggest challenge that every electric car or vehicle manufacturing company faces is the lack of infrastructure when it comes to charging these vehicles. They are tying up, they are in talks with a lot of people and a lot of companies across the world. So now Tata has joined hands, or it's expected to join hands with Tesla, and they'll be providing the charging infrastructure, which is a great news. So this should again help the country in many ways. One is our dependence on oil and petrol and diesel and all these things will reduce. That's one thing, and here we'll be saving a lot of money, because our chief import has always been crude oil. So we'll be able to cut down on that. So this will help us to balance our balance of payment as well. That's on one part. On the other part, it is again pro-environment. We'll be able to cut down on the air pollution that is caused because of the vehicles. So these things are really good, and it is expected with the introduction of the electrical vehicles, there will be shift in the political power in the world as well. So this is something which is very interesting, and this is something which we have to follow very closely to understand the changes that are going to happen because of the introduction of electrical vehicles across the world. Right, 50 lakh gig workers to be brought under Social Security Net. So this is a program which is launched by the Labour Ministry, and 40 to 50 lakh people are expected to be covered under this. The Uber drivers, the Swiggy and Zomato workers, all these people would be a part of this. And this is something which is important because there is a huge chunk of population which gets categorized under gig workers. It means that they don't stay in one place, they keep moving, and they don't have a fixed job and all that. So such workers would be benefited by this introduction. Right. Spike in daily COVID cases. India registered 23,285 new infections. So this is really, really saddening. I don't know. There is something that is going wrong with every March, and March is getting jinxed because of this. So last March, during this time, the infections increased and there was total lockdown across the world. And now again, in March 2021, the COVID cases are increasing. It is very, very saddening. It is really bad. Let's hope that this subsides and world is free from the COVID-19 cases, and we go back to normal life, and world takes a path of prosperity. So these were the news bits that we wanted to discuss this week with you. We'll be back next Saturday with more updates, and until then, take care. Let's meet next Saturday. If you're yet to subscribe our channel, please do subscribe. If you like the video, please do hit the like button. If you find it interesting, you may please feel free to share with your friends and relatives. Thank you once again.